So you might have heard about the affordable Chinese-made fake replica guitars you can buy on eBay or AliExpress. And you might be wondering, are they worth it? Are they good? Are they a scam? Eh. These pickups right here are not great. The tuners are not very good. So first, we could demo these pickups, see how they sound, and then we're going to change these pickups and the bridge and the tuning machines. On the back, there are Grover branded tuning machines, but those are not real Grovers. Those are cheap knockoffs, and they're not good. They don't stay in tune, so we're going to fix that. And then for the pickups, we have affordable humbuckers from guitarfetish.com. And let's plug it in and see how it sounds. It's not very good. And jack goes right in, nice and firmly. So that's a point for CHIBSON. We're plugged in. And I'm going to tune it up. Because I did tune it up not too long ago, but these tuners are not good. On just some clean tones, you can hear. So another thing to be expected on these cheap guitars, especially knockoff, fake, counterfeit guitars, is the nuts might not be cut perfectly. And it a lot of the time will manifest itself as the G string going out of tune, especially when you play like a D, just a D chord. And you kind of alleviate that by pressing really lightly on that string. And it's still in tune, but it's not really how you should be playing. You shouldn't have to worry about that, and it shouldn't really do that. Another thing you'll notice when it's not cut, maybe the best, is you'll get pinging when you're tuning the string, because the string will kind of get snagged in that crevice. So they're really muddy and harsh and are lacking a ton of satisfying frequencies. If I turn on an ultra metal distortion, they're microphonic. They're microphonic pickups too, so they feed back in a really bad way. So, in other words, not great. We could plug it in to an amp sim, but it's not going to really show us anything that we haven't already learned, that the pickups are not very good. So we are going to change the pickups. We're going to open it up. It's got cream covers on the back. We're going to open it up. We're going to change pickups. We're going to condition the fretboard. It is a real rosewood fretboard, but it's quite dry. It needs to be hydrated. So we'll do that, and we will change the humbuckers, and we will change the cheap counterfeit tuners. And I'm going to try to cut that nut a little better, maybe put some graphite. You can use some lead from a pencil. So I think I'm going to do that. And then we can come back and talk more about the guitar, what I might change in the future. So we'll be right back. So now that we got the strings off and the fretboard conditioned, I'm going to flip it over and take a look at the back. Here's the pickup that we got. It's from Guitar Fetish. So actually not too bad. You can see they use the black shielding paint of some sort. And you know, the wiring job is kind of shoddy. Non-branded pickups. You can see in here the route can see the neck. It's not a long neck tendon. So we got the pickups changed. We're going to change out these machine heads. And for that I have this handy dandy Stumac wrench tool. So we have a wiring issue with the grounding on the guitar. So we are bringing it to a local luthier to get it checked out and fixed. We'll check back in. Alright, we are back from the luthier. We got our chibi taken care of. It turned out that we wired it, or I wired it, wrong. And I read the paper for these pickups from guitarfetish.com. I think they're made by Artec, but I'm not sure. They're really good sounding pickups. They are 4-wire connectors for coil splitting and stuff like that. And I read the paper, the ground and the signal and all that information. And then I just spaced and I wired them like Seymour Duncan's, because Seymour Duncan has different colors for their pickups, their wiring. And I'm used to installing. I've only installed a couple pairs of pickups before, so my brain just spaced and I wired them like Seymour Duncan. Then I was getting a signal with feedback and I thought that there must be something wrong in the ground loop. I don't really understand how to ground pots in the whole electronic circuit that well. The wire that I had connected to the pot was for coil splitting, so it was working, but it wasn't working, like a humbucker. And we also changed the machine heads to locking tuners. They are Geiker is as far as I can understand, a newer brand from China with these Grover-like. These actually have the turning wheel, locking, and they look pretty good. They look better and they work a lot better than the ones that came on here, the Grovers that came on here. And then I actually took a bridge off of a Harley Benton and I put that on there because it's the same pole piece size. And besides that, pickups were changed. As you know, I filed the nut, I conditioned the fretboard, polished the frets a little bit, and it looks good. But does it play good? Let's find out. I'm going to plug it into a Friedman Runt 20 tube amp. I'm going to tune it up. You can definitely tune it up. Some of the other things I did to modify this guitar is I put Gibson knobs on there, gold knobs, because the knobs that were on there were speed knobs. They're really cheap looking gold speed knobs. It didn't look right on a standard style because that's not what Gibson puts on a standard style. And then the truss rod cover I replaced because it was this really cheap Chinese knockoff that doesn't look right, but it definitely plays better. See how it sounds. Clean. No pedals. On the neck. Try some fuzz. Cool. Turn on some reverb on the amp. Or on a pedal in the post of the amp. So I'm still having a little bit of bending from the nut. I did cut it and put some graphite in the saddles, but it needs to be cut a little more, probably on the G string. It's always a G string. A little chorus. Cool. Let's try it with a compressor. Bridge. And when I installed these pickups, I eyed the height of the pickups from the strings. The distance from strings to the pickup, a lot of it is taste. There are official measurements you can get from Gibson or Fender with their wide field humbuckers, but a lot of the time humbuckers, it's to taste. It's the closer to the string, the hotter and the louder your sound will be. And if the treble side is higher or the bass side is farther, that'll affect how bassy or trebly it is. You can spend some time on your guitar at home if you're even not a guitar tech, and you can mess with these screws here and not feel too bad about messing up your tone. You can get a ruler, a millimeter ruler, and measure how far they are right now. If you're worried about that, then you could always adjust it back to how it was. But maybe play around with your humbuckers and turn those screws. The individual pull pieces can usually be adjusted too, but a lot of the time people will not do that. They'll just get it from the store or online or get it set up somewhere and then really never mess with it. But even you might have it set up professionally by someone who just has different taste than you, and you might want a hotter output or a lower output or more bass or more treble than one of your pickups. So don't be too afraid to do that, but also kind of remember where they are before you do that, in case you do mess something up, or maybe get that ruler and measure it so you know exactly where they are before you mess something up. Let's try with some ultra metal distortion. Turn off the compressor and turn on the distortion. So we don't have all that squeal that we had before on the microphonic pickups. I'm actually going to use a rat first. Cool. Now ultra metal distortion. $25, $30 pedal from Behringer. Just to get a comparison, we'll go to the neck. Sounds really good. These pickups, again, which are from guitarfetish.com, are $30 each, plus shipping. Shipping is not free, so plus shipping, and they sound really good. They have quick plug connections on the back, so you don't, once you solder in your connections inside your cavity, you can just pull out your humbucker and disconnect that cable, connect it into a new, different pickup, put that in, and that's really cool. These are the Fat Pat humbuckers from them in silver, chrome, and they have a couple different ones. These are Alnico 5 pickups, or Alnico 5 magnets, and they both have about a resistance of about 8.5. I think the bridge might be higher, like 9.2K. And so they're not too hot, but they're meant to be like a fat PAF humbucker sound, and I think they accomplished that. I'm going to turn on a envelope filter. Get some funky wah-wah stuff. bridge. Oop, volume's down. Tone is down a little bit. So that bridge is a lot more trebly. That neck is a lot more creamy, buttery, smooth. Cool. Sounds really good. It has weight relief in the body. It's a 3-piece body. Funny thing about this is a 3-piece body, but it looks like, if you look at the back, it looks like a single-piece body. But nope, it is not. No, it is not. There is a mahogany veneer on the back. It's not a picture. It's not fake wood. It's real wood. But you can tell that because if you look here, you can see the edge of the 2 pieces. If you look on the bottom, you can see the different pieces of wood. Even Gibson, you don't see flames that look this good on that many Gibsons. There's a second piece of wood here too, which is something that Gibson does not do. We can use the opportunity to talk about the other things about this that Gibson does not do. They could help you determine if it's a real Gibson or not. It's not a nitro finish. It's a poly finish, and it just, it shines in the light differently. It's clearer. It ages, differently. It doesn't crack and all that stuff that nitro does. And that immediately tells you that it's not a Gibson. The headstock, number of things wrong. The serial number is like laser etched into the back. It is not stamped like Gibson does. And if you look at the serial number, I think it's saying that the guitar came out in 2007. For some reason, a lot of the replica guitars have serial numbers from 2006 and 2007. I don't quite know why that is. The headstock is a little narrower than a Gibson, and the bump on the top, like the book end or the book pages, open book headstock, this bump is a little taller. On a Gibson, it's not as pronounced. It's almost like a Gibson mixed with Epiphone kind of thing. But it does say Gibson, and the name, the Gibson logo, is on more of an angle on actual Gibsons. Not on this, but on actual Gibsons. It's on more of an angle. And this is more straight. And there's a bunch of chunkiness in the letters and the font that isn't in Gibson to make it, I guess, maybe hold up in court that it's not the same logo. I don't think that would work. And it's not as nice of a whatever they use, mother of pearl type material, but it is something like that. And then second piece to the neck here. Gibson doesn't do that. 3-piece body. Gibson doesn't do that. And the neck is like a 50s neck. It's like a nice thick 50s neck. It might be based on more of an Epiphone. I don't think so though. I think it's based on like a Gibson 50s thick neck. And there's no nibs. The binding does not go over the frets like it does on a Gibson, or like they do on a Gibson. The binding is cheaper plastic. The pickguard is cheaper plastic. All the metals are cheaper metals. I replaced the knobs because they were not the right knobs. And then if you open it up, they're not Gibson pots. They are actually unbranded pots, but they are full-size pots, and they're not terrible. Did not replace them because I don't think they need to be replaced. But maybe they do. I don't know. The nut is plastic and just not the right shape. It's like just not the right shape. Gibsons are like a rectangle, and this has a type of parallelogram, trapezoid kind of shape to it. And like I said, it had a really cheap truss rod cover, which that was replaced. The bridge has bigger holes in it. The plastic pickup rings are bigger than Gibson. They're too big, and they're cheap plastic. And the inlays are not real mother of pearl. They are just plastic. The tilt back on the headstock is not the same as a Gibson. If you'd like to see the difference, here's the difference. The Gibson headstock has a steeper break angle, which means this angle here is steeper, breaking away from the neck. And some people do not like that because It makes it easier to damage the neck if you hit it on something, if you drop it. And the poker chip was like stamped, printed twice. You could see rhythm and treble like faintly on a weird angle, and then you can see the actual rhythm treble, and it's really not that bad. And you won't notice unless you really look at it. And then one of the fret markers on the side here has been pushed in. It's kind of gotten knocked in. And you could probably fix that pretty easily. But functionally, it is a good feeling guitar. There's no really buzzy frets. There's no dead frets. The action is pretty high, though. The action is in fact high, but that's okay because a lot of vintage Les Pauls do have high action. There's not really anything wrong with high action. It's not like it's horribly high and it's hard to press the string down, but it's definitely higher than you would see on like a modern Gibson that is plecked from the factory. They definitely have more leeway to have those strings pretty damn close to, or pretty damn low without getting nasty rattle. But I did have to raise the action from how it was from the factory. So the next thing we can do is plug it into my interface, the SSL Plus, and into Ableton and into Neural DSP's Nolly plugin to get some direct input goodness and show how good it can sound there too. But overall, I can't complain at all. I needed some work, I needed some extra investment, but I'm happy with this guitar. So let's do that. Let's plug it in. And just the default setting on Nolly. That's the neck, here's the bridge. Setting. I'm gonna go clean chords with the reverb on. What does that sound like? So, the guitar sounds good by itself, acoustically. It sounds good plugged into a tube amp, through pedals, DI into a interface, Like I said, the nut still needs some tender loving. I mean, it could be replaced, but I'm probably not going to do that. I'm probably just going to cut it a little more. And should you get one? I don't endorse getting a counterfeit guitar or a CHIBSON. If you could find one and you want one, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Are they right or wrong? Are they moral, immoral? I don't know, but they're cool. And it could be worth having in your collection of real guitars or real Gibsons, or if there's something specifically that you want and you can't really afford, maybe a knockoff might make you happy. So I'm not going to put a link, unfortunately, to where I got this or what seller. I can't provide that information, but if you do go looking, I'm sure you could probably find something similar to this. And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. I promise there'll be more fun stuff. Thank you again, and take care. Bye now. Okay.